it's time for the Gregory Struss Show. I'm Scotty-Joe Vegas, inviting you to stay tuned for the next 30 minutes, because you'll meet local artists, Martha Wade, and photographer, Reisha Williams. Snapshot! Plus, the Gregory Struss Acrobats. And now, ladies and gentlemen, a man who sells himself, Mr. Gregory Struss! Hey! Let's give it up for the Macho Man himself! Macho. I believe the music is still playing, so let's just swing out of this whole generational system.
Welcome, everyone, to the Greg Show.
Hey, how about that?
Cable casting here from the mothership in Elmhurst, Illinois. And for all of our Hispanic people watching, como esta in Cicero, and Berwyn and parts unknown.
Of plentiness.
What's that?
The mother nipple of plentiness.
Okay, something like
That's
that.
That's nutrition right there.
Of course. Well, it appears that we're at war again. Yes. At the time of our taping, I guess we bombed Syria.
Really?
Yes. And, President Obama decided that we needed to bomb to eradicate the threat of, I think it's ISIS. Is it ISIS? Is that what it is? It's ISIS. I'm not sure how to pronounce that.
Isn't that Social Security?
Something like that. I mean, like, of all the names that you want to come up with, why is instead of is it? ISIT would have probably been better than ISIS.
They're on another part of the world, so we're on the other side of the coin, so we don't understand them.
But the president can never win. If we don't go and bomb somebody, people are irritated, and if we do bomb people, people are irritated. So how can he win? It's just not easy.
How you get rid of terrorism is in small groups, just like in churches. Small groups with people, M16s, little ATVs. Small assassin teams, you take them out. That's it.
So you're saying that there's terrorists?
Sorry, there's a parallel between my church group and how to take care of.
So you're saying that church groups are a form of terrorists?
No. What I said is they're parallel. Small groups that cleanse the soul, and then you have military people that go, that whole thing.
Yeah. And that's enough about the.
All right.
What's in Rome? What's
Wisconsin.
What's in Rome? What is the Catholic Church? It's the Vatican.
The Vatican.
Enough about the Vatican. Thank you.
In Northern Italy, they talk like people from Chicago.
Are you saying that the Vatican is full of terrorists? Is that what you're saying?
No, I'm saying small church groups. Whatever.
Okay. You're saying small church groups what?
Are successful, and small teams of assault teams are successful. Screw the big war. Let's put on the black turban ourselves. Let's be the terrorist. And let's control the country that we should save, brother.
Scotty-Joe Vegas, everyone. Did it make sense? Yes. He's practicing for his dramatic interpretation of the Last Supper at your church group, right?
They don't eat there. They're always too cheap.
Okay.
You do.
Did you know that Toronto bread, anyone familiar with Toronto bread in Berwyn? One of my favorite bread, the Vienna bread. Grandma Helen used to always have Vienna bread with spaghetti on Wednesday nights. So I said at the Last Supper, he held up the bread, he said, broke it, gave it to his disciples, and said, "This, my friends, is from Toronto." And that was the Last Supper, Toronto bread. Thank you. And it
all
went
depends
over
how
great.
you look at the Bible, I guess. You can read it backwards, up and down.
Ray Rice. Are you familiar with this gentleman? He played for the Ravens. And he's claiming that the videotape that surfaced was unfairly edited.
Like the show.
And I guess that he felt there was a more natural way of illustrating how he punched his wife in the face. So it wasn't any kind of special effects with that.
Have you ever seen a parent or a relative get tagged at a wedding or something like that?
It is horrible. It's not funny.
I still wet the bed from it. There you go.
Yeah, it's not funny. I went to one of our friends' wedding, and of course he invited us to the wedding, and Dennis, our friend, invited us to the wedding. Dan DeBoard and I went to the wedding, and seats us like in the nosebleed section, and then some guy had a similar situation where he decided to deck his girlfriend, and then all of a sudden someone from the wedding party decked him, and the police came, and
I was playing football one time. I saw a guy actually throw his woman over a fence. Hey.
Yeah, not fun.
But,
so CVS is no longer selling cigarettes. Are you familiar with that?
Yeah.
So just go across the street to the Shell station. All right.
Walgreens.
On tonight's show, we have 2 local artists.
Bravo. Excellent.
We have Reisha
Top
Williams
notch.
and Martha Wade from
Here it goes. Here we go. Come on.
Gallerina 19
Gallerina 19.
in Oak Park. All
Posh
right, we're going to take a
areas
look
in the
at
whole
some
area.
drawings.
If you want to look it up, look it down.
And I don't know if they set. Did you guys set up for? I didn't even say that we set up for taboo topics.
Are we in? Are our marks on first?
I don't know if they set up for it, so I don't know if we should make an announcement or not. But taboo topics tonight, and we got some interesting ones. In addition to our guests, and what else? Scott won. Okay, I was telling Michael. Michael's our camera guy, and I'm telling him on the way here. I said, our first show 2 years ago, Scott came to the studio. You had $5,000 in his pocket.
What?
He had $5,000 cash in his pocket. And Aunt Jean's here too. Hello, Aunt Jean. Let's welcome her as well. Thank you. We'll see you in just a second there. So you won. So I'm telling Michael. I said Scott won like $5,000. He said he had $5,000 cash in his coat. I said yeah. And I said, I don't think he's won like that since. I said he's ready to win. And then you told me you won, and we'll talk about that in our next segment, right?
Boy, I hope we do.
Okay. Anyway, I'm Greg. This is The Greg Show, and we are reinventing community television in the west side of Chicago, and we'll be back in just a minute. Thank you for joining.
Yeah, bravo!
I feel like with this haircut, I feel like I look like an overweight Ken doll. Hi.
Bob's
Hi,
big boy
Barbie.
here.
Are you doing all right? Do you ever watch these local shows where everybody's always smiling? It's like, and I really hate my kid, but I'm getting paid for it. All right. Anyway, The Greg Show is on YouTube. We are back, and welcome back to The Greg Show here on Comcast, Xfinity in the west suburbs of Chicago, and of course on YouTube.com with the search words Greg Struss Show. Now, I want to thank our dear friend Dan DeBoard, who has been commenting on every single show that we have done to date.
Really? Is he going through a divorce or something?
I was like, Dan, thank you very much for the...
Sorry, Dan.
I'm like, thank you for commenting on every show that we've done. I mean, I think that's been great.
That's nice.
Now we need about another 200 people.
We need about another 200,000.
200,000 people to do that, and then we'll be looking at something, right?
Yeah.
Okay. There's a few things I wanted to talk about before we started. Last week we talked a little bit about teen pregnancy, and I was talking about how, people from different socioeconomic backgrounds, usually like people that are in a poorer situation. And that's not true. And it also doesn't fall on, I want to apologize for my ignorance and coming across as possibly being sexist, because that wasn't what I wanted to say. I think that it's important that young men are talked to about the responsibility of impregnating somebody. I always say the best savings account for any young man is this. It's called a condom, right? So let's use some condom sense.
Thank
you.
I got one thing to say.
Okay, what?
Baby juice, if it's wet, don't go there. Thank you. I told my little girl there, I says, it's baby juice. Don't, everybody lies to you.
Oh, yes, that kind of thing.
I'll pull out early or something like that.
No, this is not censored. But you understand.
Yes, baby juice is baby juice. It's a baby kit.
So anyway, my point in all of this, we were talking about people dropping out. We were talking about teenage pregnancy. Boys need to know their responsibility in the creation of a child.
Did Bill take you aside and talk to you about the birds and the bees?
You wouldn't know what to do if it winked at you.
Okay, so how did you find out?
You know what ended up happening? This is what my father told me. He's like, you wouldn't know what to do if it winked at you, and I'll let you know what the wink was. And so you can imagine, I was in a passionate moment one day, and
with yourself or with someone else?
No, and I called him up. I called him up to ask, and he didn't answer. So He was right about some of those things. You would call me and say, Dad, I don't know what to do. So when I did, there was no answer. Okay. Quick thing, real quick. We got to go through this. Ray Rice. We were talking about Ray Rice. He's the football player from what team?
Ravens, I think.
Ravens, okay. So we're talking about these professional sports people. Now, again, if you're a professional sports person, you're held to a different standard than the rest of society, okay? Because it's a blessing that you are in the public eye, playing something, a sport that other people would love to do.
Amen.
And it's a gift.
It's a gift.
Okay? You're not allowed to do whatever you want anymore because you're serving as an example of what people want to be and what people can be.
Amen.
All right? That dream, living the dream. So anyway, I don't want to call him a gentleman because I don't think he really acted like a gentleman.
He's a human being. He deserves to be called a sir or a mister.
So this young man ended up getting into an altercation with his then fiancée, and there was a little bit of a cover-up, or believed to have been a cover-up of some kind, and then this video comes out and showing that he's, putting the hurt on her. Now, I don't know. I've been punched in the face before by somebody, but I mean, a football player, I don't know. I mean, these guys are really strong, and I can't imagine what that is. So these are, now it's saying that you have low battery. The NBA versus the NFL, 36 have been accused of spousal abuse. 7 have been arrested for fraud. 19 have been accused of writing bad checks. 117 have directly or indirectly bankrupted at least 2 businesses. 3 have done time for assault. 71 cannot get a credit card due to bad credit. Now, these are multi-millionaires, okay? So it goes to show that no matter where we are in life, many of us are living paycheck to paycheck.
It's the tax bait. It's the tax structure. They're rich one year, and then they got to pay, then they're broke.
Nah. So anyway, let me finish this. 14 have been arrested on drug-related charges. 8 have been arrested for shoplifting. 21 currently are defendants in lawsuits. 84 have been arrested for drunk driving in the last year. And can you guess which organization this is? Is it the NBA or NFL?
The ABA.
Neither. It's 535 members of the United States Congress. Oh, wow.
That was good.
Wow, that's good stuff. Let's say hello to Debbie.
Debbie, the dancing dog, ladies and gentlemen.
Da 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 da. Hello, Deb. How are you? Make sure you get. Can we see? No, come here.
No, I don't.
Here's Debbie right here.
Oh, I thought you were doing.
There she is, right there. Hello, Deb, and this is my sister Georgie. Let's welcome them, everybody. Thanks for coming out.
Yay!
Okay.
Where were we? We're doing a TV show?
Yes, and I feel like we're all over the place because we have to get to our guests.
fine.
But go ahead. What do you think about that? 535 members of Congress.
We're all human. We were talking about him today.
Okay, don't say anything.
Okay, but we were talking about him today.
So here I am. I'm in Cicero, and please don't ask me why I'm eating bacon and eggs. Other than the fact that it's about $5 and then $2 for a root beer over at
What do you tip?
Lucky Dog. I don't. You don't have to.
Really?
So I walk in and who works there? Now,
Fernando.
Pedro always tells everyone this guy has a show,
Okay.
and people are like, "Oh, I've watched that before because I like watching weird stuff."
And then they hang themselves in the
And
restaurant.
then they hang themselves.
Okay.
But this one lady today said to me, I'm going to go over here. This one lady said to me today, you look like, all right, I'm waiting on Michael here.
Shazam.
Michael, here I am. We're getting a close-up. You look like Jim Neighbors. That's what somebody told me today.
Oh my.
Old Jim Neighbors or young Jim Neighbors?
Jesus, that's so compliment.
I said, is this a compliment or not? So I'm going to pull it up. Let's see. Do I look like... Hi.
Well,
There I
let's
am.
see. You both
You see
have teeth. You both have eyes.
And we both have something else in common. But anyway, that aside.
You both were the Cannonball Run.
But I thought that was kind of funny. She said, yeah, you look like Jim Neighbors. And I was like, okay, thank you.
All right, Fran
All right.
Chastek.
I'm talking a mile a minute.
I really had to just say a few things, but I blew it.
Why?
So, we got some problems going on in this country, and I'm scared. You know what I mean? We need
Well,
we
what
need-
do we have when we have our elected officials? The elected officials, people get into office, and it's because they want to serve their community,
Yep.
serve their country. And in fact, it's really becoming self-serving. because people are not living up to the expectation of what their office is. Now, we are still living in a world, okay? Our country was founded on Judeo-Christian values. In God we trust. And people come here and they're offended by that, and we are changing for people that aren't.
That's why you can't find no Catholic churches on an Indian reservation.
And it doesn't really matter. And again, this is just my opinion. I don't speak it as fact. So I don't,
Go on the top of the national monument. It says "In God We Trust."
Right.
On top of that monument, that's what it says there. But our forefathers, there's a group of fathers over there, a group of fathers over here. This land is your land. We're a melting pot. It's over, baby.
Yeah. So what's happened is that through the age of what I call political correctness, we're talking about the 90s into the 2000s, little by little, we're getting chipped away. Our country and what we were founded on is chipped away. So the things that we used to value, respect, love, caring for one another is gone. When we have people in the NBA and the NFL who are, I know that when I was growing up, everybody loved Larry Bird. Everybody, who was the other one that played? Larry Bird.
Magic Johnson.
All those guys.
Yeah.
And they were respectful, and we wanted to be like them. All right? So now we have a society with young men that look up to these guys who all refer to women as bitches and hoes. And we have lost what we were founded on.
But there's a lot of good guys out there, too.
There are, and I'm not speaking all the way across, but in popular culture today,
Yes.
high society, we never had thugs in high society. And I'm not saying thugs, but I'm saying people that, and yes, it's artistic expression, but unfortunately, for young people that are looking up to people, that artistic expression speaks volumes. Does that make sense?
You know what man I looked up to the most? Mr. T, when I was a kid.
Yeah, Mr. T was good people.
Mr. T was good people.
He cut all those trees down. And
All those trees down.
where was that? Lake Forest?
I thought it was Homewood or somewhere.
I think it was Lake Forest,
Yeah.
Illinois. He decided to
I
cut
pity
down
the
all these
fool.
trees. But
My
Mr.
mom
T,
saw him over in Germany, and he was at a buffet, and he winked at my mom, so she got a little juicy down there.
Thanks. So,
Moving right ahead.
moving right along, and it was funny, I did too when I met your mom. But that aside, she could always spot a value too.
She spotted a value, and she told me when her and her husband didn't have sex in 8 years, and then she complained and cried in my arms, and I told her to find somebody else and
She told me the same story.
get a gardener, knock it out.
I think that's.
Well, it sure got quiet in here. Sorry, Bob.
Wow. So anyway,
I didn't drop any half words. I've been clean.
in ending on this, I don't want to speak for everybody that's in the NFL and NBA, but I really feel that when someone is in a position like that and they step out of bounds and they break that morals clause, they ought to be done. There isn't a year from now, like Michael Vick, great guy. I'm sure he's a wonderful person.
He got away with murder. If you really think about what he
the
did,
dogs and things like
compared
that.
to beating somebody,
But
you
still,
think about what he did.
And there's people that don't believe that animals have rights, and nothing needs to be abused, I think.
Yes.
And
you-
you could be the poster child for abuse. But that aside, verbal abuse doesn't count. Verbal abuse, too.
I was physically abused. Yes, by clowns.
When you were in the circus?
No, in Dixmoor.
Okay.
They came to town and there was a car and I was a young boy and what?
I don't know where we're going with this. I'm trying to make a point about how people in the public eye, okay, it's a gift to be there, and unfortunately...
The mayor of my ex-town, like Dixmoor, Illinois, he killed himself in a garage because he got caught being indicted because he had to take money. They were either going to kill him because the strip club in town or the underground boys, or they said, you either take the money or we're going to kill you. So he took the money, he got indicted, and he killed himself in his garage and wrote a letter. My dad's like, if you're going to kill yourself, you make sure don't make it look like it's make it look like an accident, because then you get the insurance money.
So is Undercover Boys going to be on CBS
He used
in
to
the
cut
fall?
my
or what?
baseball field when I was a kid. And then I cried. Eugene, what's the guy's name? The news reporter. And I'm Faye Flynn. He was always the guy they put out in the field. Now he's an old fart. What's his name?
I don't know.
One of those. All those guys. They were out in the backyard, and I'm sitting there crying because my guy who used to cut the baseball field, he killed himself.
That's sad.
And they left the letter. Eugene. What's his name?
You think about it during
All
the
right,
break.
that's
But
all right.
in ending with this, I just want to say that my belief is that if you're in the public eye, that you have to play things by the book. So since he serves as an example to young men and young women, and I don't know about his wife, she said she'd do it again because she's spoiled with the money. But what is that saying about society? It's not saying much. That this guy's going to get a year off and come back instead of saying, you know what, you had your chance, you served as an example, you blew it, and you're not going to play again.
Would you
That's
take
it.
an ass whipping for a couple $100,000 and a new wardrobe?
I don't know.
Okay.
I'd have to think about it. It depends who's administering it. Anyway, when we come back, we have local artists,
Fantastic people.
Reisha Williams and
When
Martha
they
Wade.
came in, there was a professionalism and artistry. I mean, I felt like we were in Rome.
Yeah, and we're letting some things fly, and they're probably like, okay, I like this. And we'll be back with more after this. Thanks for joining us, everybody. Thank you. Welcome to the Craig Show, and please welcome from Gallerina 19 in Oak Park, Reisha Williams and Martha Wade.
Hi there, Craig. Hi.
At least you didn't call me Gary. People usually call me Gary, or Bob, or John, or someone like that. And as long as it's after a saint, that's okay. All right. Anyway, Gallerina 19. I don't know what that had to do with anything, but it was a kind of a rough segue, as we say. You do pictures. You're a photographer.
I'm a photographer and a painter.
You are an artist and a painter.
Yes.
Okay. What I found fascinating about your background is that a lot of artists, we're starving artists, right? We hear about the starving artist. So sometimes people that are really focused on art or doing something decide that that's what they're going to do, and that's it. But you decided that you wanted to pursue education, right, a formal education, to accent the art?
Well, I think that starving artists stereotype is maybe changing now. I think that's why I went to business school and then went back to school to have something to fall back on because I was afraid of that. But as we do more in the arts and see, I don't believe in that starving artist thing anymore. With social media and the way you can just reach your customers directly, we're not starving. We're doing well with the arts. But yeah, we have day jobs out of necessity because we have to live. So it's nice to have the art as your expression where you're not solely relying on that, but it's something, that we can still do because we love it.
Do you find that there's less pressure in being able to be open to having a daytime job?
I think being an artist, there's always pressure. Always pressure to create or be expressive and be better than you were the last time. So there's always pressure there.
But when you're drawing and doing something as a full-time vocation, doesn't you also have to mix the business with it? Like the money. Isn't money important when you don't have a source of income?
Yeah, and we love doing it. I think if it was my full-time source of income, I'd be much more aggressive and please buy my art versus now where it's like, if you love it, great, take it home with you because we have our other source of income. But we'd like to get to the point where this is our sole source. Or maybe, maybe more so. Excuse me.
So I like, I don't have a lot of pictures of what you did, but this is really interesting. This is on your webpage. Let's talk a little bit about what you do. You take things from, you take people and then pieces? Is that what it is?
Well, I'm a painter and a photographer. About 2 years ago, I self-published a coffee table book, which is called Sexy Clowns, which is a satire on sexuality and womanhood and what we do to be gratified and highly favored and get promotions and loved. And basically, I took everyday scenarios and makeup and exaggerated that.
Was this one of them?
No, but we can work with that next time.
Do you think I really look like this guy? I don't see any resemblance.
No.
Please.
No, you don't look like Gomer Pyle. You don't look like him.
So what you're saying is that you're taking the sexuality of.
It's a stereotypical view about what is sexy and what generally is viewed as sexy and favorable in society and what gains favor and people's attention, which is not a new concept. It's something that we all know about. I just exaggerated it a bit.
So like someone that uses their sexuality to get what they want. So
I think we all do it. Men do it as well. Everyone does it. So we may do it. We did it tonight. We freshened up, we got nice, so we'd be on TV and we'd look special so that they think we were important.
What are you doing later? It's working. No.
Give me a call.
Okay. So now that you have your own Gallerina, explain what a Gallerina is. I liked your explanation. Because some people say a gallery, right?
Right.
Because art gallery. But what is a Gallerina?
Well, we thought it sounded like Gallerina. We start small. So it's a smaller space, but we hopefully have a big reach. So the Gallerina is kind of like, petite gallery. And 19, we're at 19 Harrison in Oak Park. So Reisha did some research on the significance of a 1 and a 9, and it seemed to relate to what we were doing. So we thought Gallerina 19 is catchy and it works for us.
You're right by it's so neat in Oak Park. They have, you're in the Arts District.
Mm-hmm.
And there's someone down the street, I think, from there that does doors, like the glass. They do the glass, and then there's a bead company and some other stuff. So I think it's fascinating. So do you do all your work in the Gallerina, or?
We do now, and at times it's a studio. So a week ago it was in shambles, and then every third Friday we have an opening or a showing where we premiere another artist. So Martha's solo show, her first solo show was last Friday, Made of Stardust. She actually sold several pieces. She had a great, So in between from last Monday until Friday, it transformed into an actual gallery. It went from studio to gallery. So we do work there quite a bit. In the past, we've kept some pieces at home and an easel at home, like if we want to wake up in the middle of the night to work. Yeah. But recently, I've just transferred all my work to the gallery. Yeah.
Is it easier working out of a gallery as opposed to like your own little comfortable spot at home?
It varies. Like we said, to be in Oak Park, you can't park on the street past like 2:30 a.m. So it would be easier at home. But
let's change that.
Right, there's a good vibe at this space. Everyone that comes in, like, I love being here. Then we have each other to kind of bounce off ideas, and we're listening to music and drinking and just kind of that artist camaraderie. We'll have artists there also working. So I enjoy it.
Good. And we have a lot of people coming in off the street, meeting us. We got a gallery intern that just came in. I put a brush in his hand and let him paint. And, we just meet a lot of people. Like, wow. Like
now, who was the guy that used to be on PBS and he's like, with the beard and he was...
Bob Ross.
He always made it look so easy.
So smart.
So easy.
I love
stuff.
him. And he made it so, positive. Just happy little trees and all that. Yeah,
I don't know if he was dropping acid before the show or doing
Bless
something,
his
but
heart.
he was terrific. He was on forever. He was like Julia Childs of the art.
Yeah.
But all right, so go ahead, tell us what's coming up at Gallerina 19 in the coming weeks and months.
Well, for the next month, Martha's show will still be up. We may have a couple of private showings going on. You can always go to our website,